Hey everyone, this is a quick video to get you going with the mapping plate boundaries activity. To begin with, getting into ArcGIS. Ideally, you always want to go into ArcGIS through the class website. So simply click on class website, go to the external tools, ArcGIS. It'll probably ask you for your username and password. Now, if you go this way, you click on here and go to log in. It's going to ask you to sign in. Now, here's the trick. You don't do this, okay? It's not going to work, or you would have to have your own personal account. So in that case, you'd have to be, more than likely you're somebody not in our school board. What you want instead is to type in DSB Niagara right here, and then log in. It's going to ask you once again, what's your school board? And then it should ask you for your username and your password, and voila, you're in. Okay, so remember there's the toolbar at the top. You want to click on map. I suggested that you should switch the base map to National Geographic so you know the names of the places that you're drawing the plates over top of, and so you can come up with an appropriate name for each plate. So now we got to go find some layers. So the layers, there's thousands of them out there. We just have to search for them. So search for layers. You'll notice it's defaulting to the layers that I've created in my content, so we don't want that. We want to go out there and search the world. So ArcGIS Online. Now, spelling counts. If you spell it incorrectly, it's not going to work. So here's what we want to do. Major earthquake features. This one's a bit tricky, by maps.com, and there's two of them. See the one with the purple? Don't take the purple one, take the green one. All right, so click on the plus sign. I'll add it on. You'll notice they're all green, not purple. All right. Next one. I don't think this global Holocene volcanoes is working at the moment, so use global volcanoes instead by TGA. Remember, once you paste it in there, you have to hit enter. Otherwise, it doesn't refresh and search for it. Okay, so there's one by TGA, so I'm going to add that one. And this one's tricky. You have to search for Atlantic earthquakes instead of quakes mid-Atlantic. And it's the zipper line here. And finally, the last one is natural events in Canada. And it's typically the first one. So right now, we're in search mode. So we want to go into details mode, click on content, and you're going to be able to see all the different layers. And so we're going to turn off all of the natural events layers because we're not going to be using those at the beginning. We want to turn on the quakes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So this shows us where all the earthquake and volcanic activity is. And you can see that it's not random. It's very concentrated in certain areas. And you should remember that where two plates are colliding, that's where all the earthquakes and volcanoes are. So where you see a lot of earthquakes and volcanoes, that's the line between two plates. So there's a line and there's a line, and notice there's hardly anything in the middle. So this is the middle of the plate. That's the western boundary. That's the eastern boundary. Trying to come up with the northern and the southern boundary, it's a little bit trickier. So to draw our layers, we want to get our tools. So in this case, we're going to go add map notes, and we're going to create our own layer. We're going to call it plates or tectonic plates. Either one works. And you'll see my tools up here. So now what I can do is I can click on the area tool, and I can simply click, click, click. So you can see that this is a small little plate here. We're just following the line of earthquakes and volcanoes. Some of it's guesswork because it's messy data. And now where do I go? Do I go up here? Nah, I think it's going to go right back and we're going to make one small plate. And because it covers the Caribbean Sea, I'm going to call it the Caribbean plate. Now we want to make the color stand out, so we're just going to fill it with, I don't know, a nice color here and outline it in black. Now it looks nice and sharp. All right, so what you want to do is you want to draw 10 plates to get 10 marks. You're not going to cover the entire planet. There are some places that you should stay away from. See this big ugly mess over here and this big ugly mess over here? Go ahead, try and figure out a plate there. You'll probably get it wrong. All right, go somewhere else. This area here is really complicated. And by the way, the smallest plate is the Caribbean plate. So if you're drawing something really tiny like this little thing right here, okay, that's not a plate. All right, so uh, this is pretty well as small as they get. Some of them are huge. So I'm going to draw this one more for you. So this is the South American plate. So you can see that where one plate ends, the next plate has got to begin. So I would imagine it's going to follow this line of earthquakes all the way down here. Now we know that there's very few monitoring stations in the poles. All right, so this is a bit of guesswork down here because there's not a lot of data. There's only some data where there's actually some islands here, and then we're just going to follow this big line here where they study the bottom of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and they got lots of data on it. I'm just doing this really quick, so it's a bit sloppy. And now the big question is, do I keep going up or do I go across? I'm going to guess I'm going back across. And because this covers South America, I'm going to call it South American plate. And let's give it a nice fill color. Remember, fill is the inside and the outline goes along the edges. There we go. Nice, nice plate. Don't forget to save it. Go save, save. Call it plates of the world or something along that line. Give it a tag, otherwise you won't be able to save it. And you have to hit enter after you type Canada. And you're going to keep on drawing plates. Now, if I draw a plate, let's say I go to that area I told you not to go to. By the way, to get my tools back, I click on edit. And come on, click. Let's say I draw a plate that looks like this. Now you know that this plate is wrong. Look at all those earthquakes in the middle. Look over here. Hardly any earthquakes in the middle. Lots of earthquakes in the middle. Totally wrong. Totally right. All right, there's going to be some oddball ones in the middle. There's always some weird earthquake activity. The oddball volcano like Hawaii, it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean because it's a hot spot. But by and large, you shouldn't see this sort of pattern. That's horrible. All right, so don't draw a plate like that. But here's a really good plate. Take a look at that, eh? You can see it going around, and then probably around there. Got another big one down here, big one out there. All right, so draw 10 of them, get 10 marks. All right, so once you've done that, what we need to do is start looking at how dangerous earthquakes and volcanoes are in our own backyard. So here's Canada, and what we can do is go back into details mode and turn on those earthquakes. Now, don't forget that earthquakes are not all created equal. We've got the Richter scale, which measures the magnitude of the earthquakes. Basically, anything underneath a 5 is just a tremor. It's not going to do any damage. Five and a 6 is a minor earthquake. Um, sorry, a 5 is a minor earthquake. 6 and a 7 is a good earthquake. And 8 and 9 is like catastrophic. It's wrecking everything. Doesn't matter how well designed things are. So what we want to do is we want to change this so that the size of our circles represents the magnitude. So now you'll notice I can click on magnitude. If magnitude doesn't appear, you didn't click on natural events. If you've got plates, if you clicked on plates and then tried to, or sorry, one of these other ones, if you clicked on this one it's not going to show you about magnitude. All right, so want to click on natural events in Canada and then click on the little symbol underneath it, switch to magnitude, and voila. Now you could just stop here and go done and okay. And this is not bad. But if you want to go above and beyond, we want to get sort of fancy with the way we draw these circles. All right, so bigger circles equal bigger earthquakes. But what we want to do is we want to classify these so they make a little bit more sense. So we're just going to switch this to a 6, switch this one to a 5, and this one to a 4. All right, so we can also make it a little bit easier to see the differences by changing the colors of each one of the circles. So we're going to click on legend and then click on each circle and change the fill color. Now you got to use the same color, all right? So, but we're just going to go from really dark, which means an intense earthquake, to a lighter color, which means a less dangerous earthquake. Because I don't consider this an earthquake, I call it a tremor. We're going to switch to a different color. All right, so now we're going to click on OK and done. Otherwise, it won't keep the changes. And we can really see where there's a lot of earthquake activity and volcanic activity in Canada. So imagine you're an insurance company or at a call center and somebody calls up and says, okay, I'd like to get earthquake insurance. Am I in a low, medium, or high risk area? As the phone person, you don't know anything, but you got this awesome map and you've got to be able to look at it and go, oh, you're in the low risk area. And then when somebody says, well, why am I medium risk or why am I high risk? Then you need some sort of explanation. So your map is going to be able to guide that telemarketer about the insurance rates. So, you know, if you take a look, there isn't any earthquakes here. So obviously this would be low risk. So you're going to circle this. And I think I gave you a color scheme in here. Right down here, it's, yep, low risk is green, medium is orange, high risk is red. Every part of Canada needs to have a color to it. All right, so you might have two different medium risk areas, might only have one, but you're going to circle all the different parts of Canada and identify whether they're low, medium, or high risk. And then you need to come up with a reason for why you did that. Explain to me, it's low risk because of this number of earthquakes and the magnitude is like this. Um, Now, you don't have to come up with a different reason for each low risk area. Whatever reason you came up for the one low risk area would cover any other low risk area. Same thing with medium. You have one reason, just copy and paste it into the description box. So I'm just going to quickly draw here. Let's say, come on, just right in there, you would go low risk, put in your reasoning why, and then change the symbol. Now, to end everything off, don't forget, save your map, but we also have to share it properly. All right, so you're going to click on share. You can check off District School Board of Niagara, copy this link. You're going to put that into the Dropbox, okay? And you got to save it again. If you don't save it again, it's not going to keep that change. All right, so good luck. If you have any questions, send me an email.